Welcome to the last module in our mail engine phase here inside Pen to Profit. This is very exciting. You have just learned a lot of new concepts, a lot of very useful new concepts for you to implement in your email marketing strategy. And right now, I'm going to show you how to take those concepts, how to take all the campaigns we just talked about and build them in practice here inside the email tools, the email autoresponders, the email marketing tool, whatever one you're using. I'm going to be using ActiveCampaign here to demonstrate in this example, but it doesn't really make too much of a difference if you're using Klaviyo, if you're using GetResponse, if you're using Drip, if you're using Infusionsoft or Make. Now, whatever you're using, there's literally hundreds of tools out there, so there's not a way for me to cover all of them. I'm using ActiveCampaign because one, that's the one I most commonly use, and also that's the one most commonly used by majority of the businesses out there. So that's the one I'm going to be covering. But you can use another tool. The principles that I'm going to show you here are going to be pretty much the same. I have used a few others. Whatever one you're using, the user experience of them, the user interface of them changes a little bit, but the principles are pretty much the same. The elements you have inside of them are pretty much the same. As I said, I have used multiple of them before, and they are all very similar. It's just that the button we click for this is going to be in a different place. The way you set this up is going to be a little bit different, but the principles that you need to understand are essentially the same. Okay, so info product businesses and education businesses, they tend to use more ActiveCampaign, as I'm using here. E-commerce businesses, they tend to use more Klaviyo, and SaaS businesses, they tend to use more HubSpot. And for bloggers, creators, influencers, they tend to use more ConvertKit, but in general, all pretty much the same idea. What you have to understand here is a few elements that we have. The first one, let's jump into my computer now, and let's see here. If you go into the website tab of things, the first thing you're gonna see here on ActiveCampaign is forms. This is the first element you need to understand, because in order for people to get subscribed to your email list, they have to fill out a form. And here's where I create a form. You can just click here to create a new form. I'm not going to go through the process of creating a new form. Super simple to do so. And then once your form is created, what you can do is here, let's say I have this very simple form. You can just create your own. You have all your contact fields here. You can drag and drop them. Let's say I want to have phone here as well. I put the phone here as well. As a rule of thumb, I like to remove the header and just leave the default text inside the specific field. I think that converts better and looks a little bit better, but you can adapt to your specific design preferences. But the important thing here is that on options, you can have either to show a thank you page or open a new URL. I pretty much every single time go for this choice, because then let's say you have the opt-in page, people click submit, instead of just showing on the form on the same page, thank you, your form has been submitted, you redirect them to a new page, and then you just put the page in here, and then you redirect them to your thank you page on your same website. And then you just have to take the link of this when you go to integrate here. In a second, I'm going to show that, and you paste that in your specific website builder, and your designer, the designer on your team can do that, the developer on your team can do that. Super easy. Now, what's important here is that when people fill out this form, here something happens. There's a form action. On the form, it says subscribe to a list, and then it subscribe them to one specific list here. I can add another action. I can say subscribe to a list, or I can add a tag. For example, I can say this person here subscribe to this form. So for example, let's say I'm running an event. I'm running Remote Revolution, the event. I'm gonna add a tag Remote Revolution for this guy specifically, because then I know later on that he went through Remote Revolution. And then you can have a lot of tags that you use to organize your contacts and see what they're interactive with and what's their level of commitment to your content. For example, if I search for my contacts, I can filter for someone who has been through all my 3 last big events that I ran. Then I know that all of those contacts, they are very interested and engaged with our content, and then I can create a campaign just for them. For example, that's the usefulness of tags, is that you can use them to filter people in and out using them. Basically that. And then again, once you click integrate here, all you have to do is copy this simple embed and just send it to your developer, and he knows what to do with that. It's very simple. And then just go to save and exit. Just whenever you're doing that, sometimes you try to edit, and it takes like a few minutes for it to update on the real website. Once you added the form here, I have noticed that. So if you're changing something here and it's not changing on the page, it could be that it just takes a little bit of time. So it takes a few minutes, just know that. So once you created your form, you have your form embedded on your website. What's gonna happen to every single person that registers through that form? They are gonna come into your ActiveCampaign here, into your mail marketing tool as a contact. So usually there's a contacts tab here. And then here you can see all of your contacts. You can search up them either by their name, email, phone number, or you can use advanced searches here in order to use conditions to find the type of contacts you want. So let's say someone who interacted with one of our emails in the last 30 days, someone who opened the last email, everyone who has this specific tag or this combination of different tags. You can sort by multiple different sort of criteria here, and then for example, you can take all the contacts that match that criteria specifically and add them to one specific list on one specific automation. I'm gonna show you exactly what those are right now. So we have contacts, and then we have lists. Every single contact, when they subscribe to your form, they get added to a list. Every single contact has to be inside at the very least one list. So here, for example, I have different lists for every specific product that we have and all the students that we have inside of them. I have lists for everyone who has registered to one specific event that we ran. I have lists for everyone who has downloaded a specific lead magnet or whatever it is. If I'm creating a different campaign, a different event, a different lead magnet, I'm creating a list for that specific event so that I know that every single person inside that list has registered through that event, and then I can get in contact with that list specifically, because whenever you're sending emails to a list. And again, you can have multiple lists inside of your email list. So that's why it's important to be organized when taking care of those lists. Cool? And here you just create them, and whenever you create them, you just set there on your form that whenever people register using this form, they're gonna get added to one specific list, to the one that makes more sense there. Another list that I usually like to have is just a list called full list, and then I have an automation that runs automatically and add every single new contact to that full list, because then I have my entire email list on that specific list. So whenever I need to send them something, I just send to that specific list that contains all the contacts that I have inside ActiveCampaign here. It's very, very simple. And then we have something here called campaigns. What is a campaign? A campaign is a one-off email. So those weekly emails that we send, those that are not automated, they are not triggered by any behavior. They're just sent in one specific day, and to everyone that you want to send to a specific list or to all your lists, everyone is gonna get that same email in the exact same time, in the exact same day. It's not something that's automated. You manually send that campaign. So those are the weekly emails. Every Monday you go there and send a different email. Every Tuesday you go there, send a different email. Every Friday you go there, send a different email. All of those, they are campaigns. They are sent manually. So we have these manual campaigns and we have automated campaigns. The auto launcher campaign, for example, is an automated campaign. The goodwill campaign is an automated campaign. And then we can build automations on top of these campaigns. And what happens here is that we can create a campaign. Let's say I want to send an email today. Let's say it's Monday. I want to send an email to my list. I'm going to come here. I usually put the date. So I just put the date here, today's date. I put the headline. This is not the headline that people are going to see. This is just for internal reference. But I put a headline of the email here so I know which email I send. Headline. And then here also include the list I'm sending this email to. So I know, okay, I send this email on this date. And this was the email that was sent to this specific list. Then here you can just click next. You don't need to select any of the different types of campaigns that you had there. Just select the standard, click next. And here is where you select the list that you want to send this campaign to. You can select a list. Let's say here I'm going to select a test send list that I have. And you also have the option to segment this list. So what does that mean? For example, when I'm sending those invitation sequences, those are manual campaigns that I need to send. Let's say I'm going to be sending one on Monday, one on Wednesday, and one on Friday. But let's say that the one on Wednesday, I want to send to this very same list, but I don't want to send it to everyone who already opened the last email and registered to the event. If that's the case, I have to segment this list. So here, I would click Create New Segment. I would go Actions, has clicked on a link, and then here you can select Campaign, and then here you can select any campaign or one specific campaign. So let's say this was the last campaign I sent. I select this last campaign, and then I select if it's any link inside that campaign or one specific link. You can just do any link here. Then I click Done. It's going to create a new segment for that. So this is only going to be sent to the people who are in this list that I selected here and have not clicked on the link on the last email. So this is how I segment the list here. Then I click Next at the right top here. And then you're going to have the option of how you want to design your email. I usually just go for the typical email designer. It's the most recent one, the best one. And then you click Start from Scratch. And then here you have the name from who is going to be sending this email, the mail you're going to be sending from, And whenever you're sending this here, make sure you have this email confirmed. You can go in your settings and add confirmed email addresses here to ActiveCampaign. It's very simple to do that. Just go into settings. You're going to find that option and make sure this one is confirmed and verified here. If you don't verify this email inside of ActiveCampaign or whatever email marketing software you're using here, when you send this email, people are going to receive a notification inside the email that this email was sent from an unverified email. So it could be phishing or it could be someone trying to pretend he's Iman. So you need to verify that you can actually use this email here. Each email software has a different way of verifying, but they're all super simple and they all have step-by-step instructions on how to do that. It's always on the settings, and then you can find email addresses there, and then you just confirm your one. And then here is where you put your email subject line. So here is going to be the subject line that people are actually going to see on their end. So this one is very, very important. Then you click continue. And here we have our email. It takes a while to load. There you go. And here we have our email. They just come with these templates, and you can find a bunch of templates there as well. I personally don't like to use those templates. What I usually do, I just come here, section, I delete the section. This one I leave. This one I delete. This one I delete as well. And I do that because I just like to have emails with plain text. Because when you have those banners and all those buttons and bells and whistles, they look a lot like ads. And I don't want my emails to look a lot like ads. I want them to look like emails. And I want people to read them and not see all those visual elements and think that I'm trying to promote something, because that's what your brain thinks when they see all these banners. That's why we have something called banner blindness, which is our brain is used to seeing banners, advertisements, and just not paying attention to them. So I don't want my mails to fall under that same category in my audience's brain. So what I'm doing here is I'm just using very simple, normal plain text emails. Majority of the times, I don't even like to have this headline here, so I just remove it. So then here you can have your text, and I always have it align left. You can just select everything here, align left. I think this is the best setup, and I like to make the font just a little bit bigger because then it's easier to read. ActiveCampaign in of itself is very glitchy, but you get used to it. And now here, let's say this email is an invitation to a 4-day cash machine sequence. It's on our weekly emails. We're going to be sending this on a Wednesday. We're going to send to everyone who haven't clicked on the last one. And this is going to be another invitation. So of course, we're going to have a link here. So let's just create a link, link.com. And then here you just select your link. You click here, and then you have just added a link. You made that link into a link. And then just be careful here. Test if your link is working. Always test if your links are working before you send your campaigns. That's very, very important. And then here you have the title, you have the link, and you have a very important button that we have to pay attention here. Add link action. What that means is that I'm going to add an action that ActiveCampaign is going to perform when people click this link. So add action link. I want everyone that clicks this link to be added to an automation. And then here I can select an automation. I still haven't created the automation. I'm going to show you how to do that next. But it's very important that here, when people click the link, it means that they want to receive your next emails for the cash machine campaign that you're running, right? They have raised their hands by clicking the link and say, I want to receive the next emails. So here you have to add this action that adds them to an automation, and the automation is going to automatically send all the next emails for us. But you have to make sure that here you add them to that automation. So you just come here, click add to automation, and then you just select your automation. Let's say it would be automation 9 in this case. And then here I usually also add another action, which is a tag. I add a tag and I just say for the cash machine, whatever it is. And then here, if you don't have that tag yet, it just shows up as create tag. You click there and then the tag is going to be added. I'm not going to do that in this specific scenario, but you click save. Once you click save, that action is set here. You can see it here. Just double check again before you send the campaign. And then once you've done so, you can click next. Here's going to give you a summary of your campaign. So double check your subject line, your pre-header text. That's the text that shows up before you open your email in your email inbox. You can change that text. I usually do. I recommend you do so as well. Then here you can see from which email this is being sent from. You can see the lists that you have selected, if there's any segment on the list, and the amount of context that this is being sent to. And then here you always want to have open rate tracking turned on and link tracking turned on, because this is going to tell how many people open the emails and how many people clicked on your link, and you want to have those statistics. Here, if you want to schedule that campaign to like tomorrow, let's say, if you want to write it tonight and then schedule for tomorrow, you can do this here. And here you can send a test email. That's very important. Whenever you're going to send this, before you actually send it, put your email in here, send a test campaign. It's gonna send this exact campaign just to your email so you can double check before you actually send to your entire list. Once you double checked, it worked well, then you can come here and click send now. And that's it. That's literally it. I'm not gonna send it now, but that's how you send a campaign. And then that campaign is gonna trigger our automation for our 4-day cash machine. So now let's come here to automations and actually build that 4-day cash machine automation. Let's click here to create a new automation. I usually have one automation for every single event that I run, for every single lead magnet that I have. Automations can basically send automated emails for you, and they can change and interact with the fields of our subscribers, with the tags. You can add and remove tags. You can add and remove them from lists, so you can update the status of your subscribers through automations as well. So here, just start from scratch, continue, and we're gonna create our 4-day cash machine campaign right here. Here, you usually have to have a trigger in order for your automation to start. So what triggers this automation? As we have already seen, our campaign triggers that automation, so that would be automatically set up here if we had selected this automation on the campaign. But since we didn't have the automation built yet, this is not selected. So another thing you can use here is a tag. So let's say tag is added to a subscriber, then it triggers this automation, and then it'll just add the tag here, 4-day cash machine. And this would trigger this automation. Always make sure you have runs once selected here, because let's say you have 2 triggers, either the tag or the campaign being sent that already automatically adds people here. If you select multiple and people have both of them, it's gonna send all the automation twice to every single contact. So you don't want that to happen. So you just select one here and then you click start. And then here you can add a bunch of different conditions. So for example, for our 4-day cash machine example, what does need to happen after they click the link? They open the email, they click the link. What happens after that? Do we send the email? No, we don't, because they have to wait 24 hours to receive the next email now. So when they clicked on the link there to say that, yes, I want to receive the emails, we have to add a condition here, which is a wait. So here we just have a wait for a specific period of time, 1 day. So whenever people click the email, it doesn't matter if it's on Monday, it doesn't matter if it's on Sunday, 1 day after, they're gonna receive the next email. So we added a wait for 1 day here, and then now we're gonna go back to sending options and send an email. We're gonna create an email here, and it's gonna be email 1, and then save and design later. And then here, once you click edit this action, you're gonna be taken to the same screen that we just saw on the campaigns there, where you can edit your email, where you can write everything, where you can set the links and everything. And this is how you do it. So this is gonna be email number 1. Let's call it VSL. Here, this is where you send them the VSL. And then here, inside this email, you have to do something very important. Just like you did with the emails there in the campaign, when you have a link, you add an action to the link. And then the action in this case is gonna be add a tag, and then you just create a name for that tag. It couldn't be something like watch the VSL. Just so you know that the contacts that are tagged with that have watched the VSL. Why is that important? Because here, we're gonna have a countdown sequence after. And as you know, we don't want to promote, we don't want to sell to people who have not demonstrated interest in what we're offering. So if they didn't watch the VSL, there's no reason for us to send a countdown sequence to them, because they don't even know what the countdown is for. They haven't watched the VSL, and they're probably gonna get pissed off, and that's how you kill goodwill in your list. You don't want to be promoting, you don't want to be sending countdown sequences to people who have not watched the step before the countdown sequence and know what that countdown sequence is for. So if they don't click here, we're just not gonna continue this campaign. How do we do that? So here, we're gonna add another wait, but this one is gonna be different. It's not gonna be wait for a specific period of time. We're gonna wait until specific conditions are met. And then here, we're gonna go contact details. We're gonna scroll down until we see tag exists. And then here, we're just gonna select the tag that we just added to the people who clicked the link on the previous email. For your case, it might be watch VSL. I'm just going to select any tag on my case here because I don't have that tag created here. But once that's done, it's very important that you check this little box here. Continue automation if conditions are not met within a specific period of time. And here, you check this box and you continue after, let's say in this case, for a 4-day cash machine, continues in 2 days. And then we save this campaign. So what's gonna happen here is that ActiveCampaign is gonna be waiting until it meets the criteria. Either the tag gets added or 2 days pass. If 2 days pass and the person here hasn't clicked the VSL, haven't watched the VSL yet, so as a result, have not gotten tagged with the watch VSL tag yet, we're not gonna send them the countdown sequence, just to be on the safe side of things. So how do we do that? We're first gonna create a defaults here. So if a contact matches one specific condition, they're gonna go in one way. If they don't match the condition, they're gonna go into another way. So we're splitting our sequence here. We're creating two different paths. How do we do that? With an if and else. Very, very simple. Do the same thing you just did. Contact details, you select the tag. The tag here is the same tag as before, and then I click save. And this is gonna select in people who have the tag and people who do not have the tag. If people do not have the tag, what do? Very simple. We just end this automation. We end the automation right here. They haven't watched the VSL, they haven't been tagged, so they should not receive the follow-up sequence. Now, on the other hand, if they do have a tag, what we're gonna do here is, if they do have the tag, then we're gonna wait for a day, because remember, we don't want to send this email right after they watch the video. If I don't add the wait here, let's say they receive the mail 10 minutes after they receive the mail, they watch the video. If we don't have the wait, they would receive the next email right after because they are tagged. And as soon as they get the tag, they pass through this filter, they pass through this if and else sequence, they go to the yes, and whatever thing's next in the automation happens right away. So the thing that's next here, if it was an email, it would send the email right away. We don't want to do that. We want to wait a day until we start sending the countdown sequence, right? So here we're gonna select another wait, and we click save. Wait for a day. Then here, we finally add another email. And then this is gonna be countdown 1. And then we save. Another very important thing for you to do here is for you to connect your email marketing tool with your checkout processor. Whatever that checkout processor is, you can connect that with Zapier, or majority of them, they have native integrations for ActiveCampaign, HubSpot, Close CRM, ConvertKit, whatever the email automation tool you're using. If you're using a popular checkout processor, it probably has a native connection to it. And then you can tag people who buy through your checkout processor here on ActiveCampaign, and you can add a tag to them saying that they are a buyer already. So why is that important? Because then here we can add a goal, which is buy. So here what we're gonna do is, if someone has been tagged with a buyer, they automatically skip all the steps in the automation and they go to this step. Why is this important? Because if someone buys after watching the VSL, I don't want to send them the countdown sequence. If someone buys on the first email of the countdown sequence, I don't want to send them the 2 other email countdown sequence. So it's very important that you tag your buyers because of that. And again, you can usually do that directly from your checkout platform. They usually have a native connection, a native integration. If they don't, you can just use Zapier, a tool like Zapier, to do the same. Super, super simple. Now, what we're gonna do here is the same. Contact details, tag, we search for a tag. If the tag buyer, let's say in this case, exists, then here, when the goal is below contact's position, if the contact does not meet the goals condition, continue anyway. That's what we want here, because right after the goal, we're gonna simply end this automation, right? And then here, we're gonna add another wait, 24 hours. We're gonna add our second email, countdown, number 2, save and design later, boom, wait, and then we're gonna add our last email. Let's say this is a 3-day countdown sequence. We're gonna add the last email in here, countdown. If you wanna add 1 more, 2 more, 5 more, the process is exactly the same. And then here, whenever in the sequence they buy, if they buy right here, if they buy right here, they are gonna go directly to this specific goal. They're gonna skip all the other steps. If they buy here the countdown 1, they're gonna skip wait for 1 day, they're gonna skip countdown 2, they're gonna skip wait for 1 day, they're gonna skip countdown 3, they're gonna come directly here. And then what we want is conditions and workflow, and we're gonna end this automation for this context as well. So now, if they did not buy, they just go back to regular emails. And that's it. It's as simple as that. That's how we create the automations. It's very easy, drag and drop, step by step. The logic is not super complex or anything. And then now, once this automation is built, all you have to do is send the campaign that triggers this automation on click, and everything here is gonna happen automatically without you having to send any of those emails manually or anything. You just do everything here and it's gonna happen automatically. And then here, just name your automation. In this case, let me just save this as test automation. You click save, And very, 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 very important here, you click active in order for your automation to be active. If it's not clicked active here, you can send your email, people are gonna click the link, they're not gonna receive the automation because the automation is inactive. So you always have to turn the automation on. That's super, super important. But with that done, we have covered everything you need to know in order to create those campaigns we just studied here in this module and operate them, execute them inside ActiveCampaign or whatever email software you're using. And that brings us to an end to our email engine tool. With everything you have learned so far, you are now capable of creating an extremely high converting email engine, and you now understand that emails are best used not by being approached as a unit that lives alone, but by being approached as an element of a bigger mechanism, of this bigger engine of things that we're doing together, and every single email interacts with each other and they all play a bigger role together for you to get the most sales possible out of your email list. That's how you do it. I hope you enjoyed, and I see you on the next phase where we're gonna talk about how to become a master at writing ads, at advertisement. So with that being said, congratulations to making it through this phase, and I see you on the next one. Thank you.